Day 1101. I'm not going to be able to say that again and again. Day 1101. That's a mouthful. It is 7:17 a.m. Just got off my Warriors of God call. It was amazing. Didn't go over anything that I planned. Went over something so much better. And we were talking about how just surrendering to God and not knowing the answer, like how freeing it is to not know the answer. And I was sharing a testimony from yesterday. And just this last week, I think it was on Saturday, I was trying to figure everything out. And I got really overwhelmed because it was like, I don't know the answers, Lord. There's so much for me to do before this class starts, or before this speaking opportunity. And there's so many things to do with Warriors of God. There's so many things to do. And I remember I went to Starbucks and I didn't even know where to start because I was so overwhelmed. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to clean. At least I could do that. I can clean my room and I can meal prep. And after that, I was just like, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to be stressed out and overwhelmed and have all this pressure on me over the next 5 weeks and just be miserable, like, and stressed, like, and try to control things. Like, God's the one in control. He's the one who lined this up. And I don't want to lead myself over the next 4 or 5 weeks. Like, I don't want to lead myself. I just want to surrender. And so for the last week, I've just been like, I'm not even gonna worry about it. Like, I'm just gonna surrender, and I'm gonna go wherever God guides me. And I was at church 3 days this week, and it was awesome. And I showed up to church on Wednesday, and everyone's like, "Oh, you're never here on Wednesdays. What are you doing here?" And I'm like, "I don't know. God just told me to come here." And started to understand the branding of Warriors of God, and like, what the message really is for what Warriors of God is. And then last night at X18, I go to the pastor to ask him what he's talking about, and he's like, "Oh, I'm talking about how to find your calling." And I was like, "That's interesting. Okay." It was a very funny, ironic moment, because this is the same pastor that won't let me teach everyone how to find their calling at church. And so I was just like, it was one of those kind of awkward moments where we were both like, "Yeah, we know." And but he went and talked about that, and he's up there and he's talking about the steps to find your calling. And it was super confusing. Like, just to be real, it was super confusing. There weren't like really step by step, and they were super vague. And I'm like, wow, Lord, you've literally given me a 6-step framework. Like, it is crystal clear. It is super powerful. It is crazy, and it's biblical, and it's so good. And it was like God was just showing me, like, I've given you a real framework to help my people find their calling, to help my children find their calling. And I was just like, wow. Yeah, people really need it. And then in our groups, we get in our group and everyone's talking about how, they don't know their calling. They're not sure what it is. And I'm just like, oh, okay, God, you've really like set this up. And so it was a really good conversation. It was just confirmation that, I need to get the calling framework and all of that stuff out there. And then I get home and I check my email, and there's an email from Stripe, which is my credit card processing company, which I use to bill my clients so I can get paid. And they send me this email saying, "Hey, Chris, we need to be able to see a Warriors of God website that has what you do on there, the product that you sell, the pricing, and a page for people to sign up." And I was like, what? Like, I've had Stripe for 6 years, 7 years or something like that. They've never asked for anything like this. And they said, we need this. We need to be able to see proof of this by October 20th, or we'll have to freeze your account. And I was just like, what in the world? And I was like, and then it hit me. Wow, God, you are directing me. You are really directing me. You want me to build a website that is the Warriors of God website that has the Find Your Calling coaching on it, how to find your calling, the framework and all that stuff, with a pricing page where people can sign up. And I have to have that done by October 20th because Stripe wants to verify that I'm a real company, not just a scam or, a fake company or something like that. And the people who are paying for a real product. And I have to actually have a page where they can sign up and buy it. And I was just like, wow, Lord, like the confirmation, that at X18, the pastor's talking about his talk is how to find your calling. He gets up there, there's no real clear way to find your calling, and it's super confusing. And then everyone in my group was like, yeah, I really want to find my calling, but I don't know it. And then I get home and there's an email saying, we need you to have your Warriors of God website built with your product on there, which is the calling coaching, on there, explained with a link for people to be able to buy. And I'm just like, that's about as clear as it's going to get for me to know, okay, it's time to put together the whole calling coaching thing and put it out to the world and have the website ready. And I have to by the 20th, or I'm not going to get paid. And I just think about that, like, God is going to have one of these battle cards on every chair in that event. 300 or 400 people are going to have battle cards, which means they're going to have to be able to go to the website and say, how does this thing work? And so the fact that I'm going to have a website built, and who knows, like, there'll be people that could be right there who go to the website, who sign up for the coaching, and there could be 10 people that buy the calling coaching, and I leave the event, there's 25 grand in my account that I didn't even know. So I don't know what God is planning. I have no idea what he's planning, but I'm so excited because he's given me direction. And last night at X18, I was praying and I was like, Lord, just please help me, because there's so many things for me to do. Lord, just help me. And I was like, Lord, I don't even know what to do, and I don't know where to go from here. And then he said to me, you don't need to know, because I know. And he gave me this visualization of a boat, and he showed me he's the captain and I'm the crew. I don't need to know where I'm going. All I need to do is be obedient. And until God gives me a command, to just relax. It's okay. It's like the Christ cruise. Like, the people on the cruise, they're not worried about where they're going. They're not worried about if they're going to get there, or what speed the cruise ship is traveling at, or the size of the waves. They're not worried about any of that. That's the captain's job. Their job is to enjoy the ride while they're there. And I thought about Jesus in the boat with the disciples during the storm. They were freaking out, thinking they were going to die, and Jesus was sleeping. He was so relaxed on the boat. And so it was like this thing of like, don't worry, Chris, you don't need to know. And I just got a message from Stripe again. That's funny. An email from them. And he's like, yeah, you don't need to worry. You don't need to know where I'm going, where I'm taking you. Just know that I'm taking you there. So just sit in the boat, stop trying to control it, put the oar down, and just wait for my command. And that's what the crew of a boat does. They wait for their captain to give them a command, and then they do it. And he gave me a command. It's super clear what he wants me to do. And I'm just, and there's even a date on it, by October 20th. It has to be done, period. And I'm just like, wow, Lord, you are just amazing. And so I was just so grateful. And I was talking to the Warriors about that. Like, guys, just be patient. Like, I know God was testing me this week of like, is Chris going to try to take control again? Is he going to get stressed and overwhelmed? Is he going to try to run this and control it? And this whole week, I've just been surrendering to God. Like, I've been going to church. I've just been being obedient to what he tells me to do. And now he gave me the answer. And I was just telling the Warriors, like, oh my gosh, guys, it's such a relief. It's such a sigh of relief to know that I don't have the answers. It's so amazing to say I don't know. It hurts my ego, but it's a good hurt. It's like a relief of like, oh, I have no idea what to do, God. I surrender. I stop. I'm not going to try to steer this boat anymore. You're the captain, not me. I'm the crew, and I need to stop pretending I'm the captain, because I'm not qualified to steer this boat. I'm not qualified to do this, but you are. And so I'm going to go back to my position, which is crew, and I'm going to wait for your command. And while I'm waiting, I'm going to enjoy the ride. And he shows, like, he showed up, and he gave me the command of what to do next. So by October 20th, the website has to be built. So I've got 2 weeks to build out the website with the purpose framework on there and all of that stuff. And of course the website needs to be ready, because everyone who gets one of these cards, they're going to have to go to the website and say, what is this thing? What is this Warriors of God thing? And it's going to be incredible. So thank you, God, for the direction and the clarity, because there's 1,000 things I could work on, and he's given me one. So he's just so good. He's so good. So thank you, Lord. And it's just such a nice feeling, and I was thinking about going and speaking on that stage. If I show up there and I've spent the last 5 weeks stressed out, overwhelmed, pressured, anxious, trying to force things, trying to control things, I'm going to get on that stage and I'm going to suck. But if I get on that stage and I had spent the last 5 weeks just in flow, just relaxed, just trusting God, not trying to force anything, just feeling peaceful like I do now, I'm going to get on that stage and God's going to use me like a lethal weapon against the enemy. Like, I just know it. So I can just let all this stuff go. I can just let it all go and surrender, which is a beautiful, beautiful thing. So I'm very excited about that and to see what he's doing. And yeah, it's just beautiful. He's so good. And the challenge is that most of us, we're trying to be the captain and we're meant to be the crew. We're not qualified to steer the boat. We're not qualified to lead ourselves. We're not qualified to do what we want to do in our lives. That's when the Titanic hits the iceberg. And a lot of our lives, it's the Titanic hitting the iceberg and we feel like we're sinking. And the reason why we feel like we're sinking is because we're the ones that are steering. And God's like, if you would just let go of the wheel and give it to me, you wouldn't hit icebergs. And so I'm in that process of just letting go and giving him the wheel. And it's beautiful. It's just like, oh, the pressure's gone. The stress is gone. The overwhelm's gone. The anxiety, all of that stuff is gone because he's got this. Even trying to figure out where the heck am I going to get the money to even go out there in 4 weeks? $1,500? Like, actually, I'm going to have $3,000 because I'm going to have to pay rent the same day that I fly out there. So yeah, God, where's that going to come from? And it's like, I don't need to figure out where it's going to come from. I just need to be obedient to God and he'll provide. So, yeah, it's just such a relief. What a way to live, surrendered to God. And doesn't mean you don't do anything. You don't take action. You take action on what he tells you to do. You're obedient to what he tells you to do. And now I've got plenty of work to do now, building this website and getting it out there. So, yeah, it's just so good. He's so good.